Last time on the Dive Shop, we got started on our summer program with Caribbean Reef Buddy. Jack, Olivia and Jackson all learned to dive. We also got to explore under the jetty, which we love, and the crew tried their hand at lionfish hunting. We also repopulated the coral nursery too. This time on the Dive Shop, Jonny, Grace and Grace have also joined the team. Dean led a hike to the island's highest points, and we had some amazing results with our first Bruvs experiments. So it's been a wee while since we did our last video, as we've been heavily engaged with the Caribbean Reef Buddy project. We've been joined now by Grace, Jonny and Grace from the US and the UK. Great young guys who've come in to give us a hand working through all the different projects that we're working on. We of course needed some time to get them trained, and so for the two Graces we had to teach them how to dive. For Jonny, who was already a rescue diver, we needed just refresh his skills and get him back in the water as he'd been out for a couple of years. Over the past couple of weeks though, we've been able to conduct a whole load of work. So the first thing we've been working on is site surveys. Using ReefCheck protocols, we've been able to go out using 100-meter long transects, and we're looking at fish biomass, fish biodiversity, as well as substrate analysis and benthic species analysis, and it's been really good. We've been doing this project since about 2015, and so we've got a lot of data over the years from the same sites at the same time of year, and what we're able to do is take out seasonality but look at changes over time. And this information we use with Fisheries Division, and we use with ReefCheck and other NGOs who are interested in what is the health and what is the change of the reef in the Caribbean region. So all of this data is logged on an international database with ReefCheck. We can all interrogate it, we can all analyse it, and we can look at changes not only here but in other parts of the world too, which makes it a very interesting and powerful tool. We've also been working quite a lot on our coral nursery too. We've now repopulated the coral nursery. We have 4 tables down there which have 80 fragments of coral on them. So we're using elkhorn coral. It's a nice fast growing coral, but it's also fairly well in abundance here, and is useful as a building block for regeneration of coral reefs. We've been supporting over the last week the Grenada Coral Restoration Foundation with their staghorn coral nurseries, and so we're really excited about seeing the potential for that nursery to grow and for us to be able to use fragments of that to expand our existing coral nursery too. It's also been really nice to take new volunteers out and see some of our outplant sites from previous years and see how some of those babies are growing and developing. It's such a proud moment for us to see those. With the CRB participants here, we also wanted to let them see a little bit more of the island. So on Saturday, Dean took them all out for a hike up to Chapeau Car, which is the island's second highest point. It was a hot day in the Caribbean, but the walk was totally worth it. The views from the summit were absolutely amazing, looking over Tyrrell Bay, looking over the islands, the Keys to the south, and also Ile-de-Ronde and Grenada in the distance. On the Bimble back, we stopped in at Paradise Beach for a refreshing dip and maybe a rum punch or two. So a few weeks ago, Dean and I talked you through some of the research that we were planning on doing here on apex predator monitoring using the Bruvs systems. So the Bruvs are baited remote underwater video surveillance systems, and we wanted to deploy those and have a look at some of the activity that we might find here. Since then, we've had a lot of fun putting these out in the water and looking at the results. But what is it we're actually doing? Why is it we're doing it? This experiment is aimed at trying to determine what predators we have in the waters around Carriacou, and of those predators, what are likely to be our apex predators, the big daddies, the ones everybody wants to see. Why? Well, there's been a lot of research over the recent years that the reduction in population of sharks and other pelagic predators is having quite a significant impact on other species within the food web. It's a complex ecosystem in the marine world, but basically if you take out the apex predators, if you take out the big boys, then you'll have a population explosion of the level 2, the tier 2 predators. And those tier 2 predators will then start to predate on the herbivores, and so you'll see a squeeze in the number of herbivores that you might find on the reef, which means you'll see an explosion of algae because there's nothing there to eat the algae. And so looking at the reefs that we've got here, where we do have the start of an algae problem, we wanted to have a look at what does the food chain look like, what are the predators, what are the species we have, and how can we do that. So supporting the research that's been conducted by the Bimini Shark Lab up in the Bahamas, we were looking here at how we could use their technology, their ideas, to monitor our own environment. As a scientific project, we need to make sure we're consistent in our implementation of the project and make sure that the consistency that we have is aligned with the consistency of other locations. But basically, we take our bruvs out to a selected site and we load the feeder tube with bait. Now this is a really messy and stinky piece, as we're using fish guts and bits from yesterday from the fish market, and our CRB participants have absolutely loved this bit. And to make it a little less messy, we decided to freeze the bait into tubes so that it's easy to handle and easier to load when we're on the boat. Divers then take the bruvs units down to the bottom, where we carefully place them on the substrate in the same location, turn on the cameras and bug out. And we'll leave them down there for 2 to 3 hours, making sure that we have no impact on what's going on. Later in the day, we'll go back and we'll recover the bruvs, clean them off, empty them out, bring them back to Hillsborough. And that's when we can then start analysing and looking at the footage. It's ironic though that as we drop into the site to pick up the bruvs, there's seldom any predators around, as one of the things we're conscious of is that they're really scared away by both the sound of the boat arriving, but more importantly the sound of the divers getting into the water and the bubbles and the noise that we all make. But we have been super impressed with the results so far. Now, we haven't seen any species of apex predators that we weren't expecting to see, but we've been having a lot more interaction with the bruvs than even I was expecting. We typically see large snapper, grunts and barracuda coming into the zone first, looking at what's causing that delicious smell. Then after about 30 minutes we see the first sharks turning up, then the second, then the third. They're nurse sharks, which is kind of what we expected to see, and they're very curious and start hunting for food around the bruvs, sometimes even bouncing into the bruvs to see if they can get more. To date, we've only monitored one site, near to the wrecks that we have here at Mabuya Island, and we're typically likely to see nurse sharks in that area anyway. Now we're planning on heading out to some more remote sites, some more distant sites, and we'll carry on the research over the next coming weeks so we can pick up more data on what else is out there. Thanks to the guys at Caribbean Reef Buddy, thanks to the guys at Bimini Shark Lab for giving us all the direction and the support on this project and the other projects we're doing. It's interesting, it's exciting, and we love seeing the results. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you splash down on the like button and do us a massive favour and hit subscribe if you want to see more of the content that we're producing for you. I hope you're all doing well, enjoying the summer, and we hope to see you diving sometime soon. Take care.